Okay, we are going to be working on our slab project. And so this is going to be a tile relief, and I have my thumbnail drawn here, and it's pretty big. It's the size that I need for the amount of detail that I'm going to include. And so that's something you want to think about. Am I making my slab big enough to be able to fit all of the detail that I want to get into it from my design? I have my printed source photos, so I'm thinking about adding one of these flowers. I have my lily pads. I have different views of frogs for the frog that I'm going to be putting on here. So the first thing I need to do is I need to cut out and build a slab box. So I have my slab that I've carefully pulled. I'm putting it into a dry spot on the table, and I'm going to make sure that my slab is all nice and smooth. And so one of the things I want to make sure to do is gently pull across it with the wood rib and get it all really smooth. And I want to make sure that I'm keeping that rib clean and a little bit damp, so that as I'm doing that, everything looks really nice. Okay, this is also a good way to check and make sure you don't have any bubbles. And so I can see as I'm pulling that right there's a bubble. Like if I lift this slab up, you can see that little bubble right there. So if any of those crop up, you need to make sure to pop them or cut around them so that they are not included in your project, because we don't want any surprise little blow-ups in the kiln. So I just come in at those from the side, get them smooth, and then I go back and rib over the top of those just to make sure they're all the way gone. Okay, so this is ready for me to cut. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I cut is I'm going to put this on top and I make sure it fits. Okay, because I know I need my walls to be about 3/4 of an inch tall. So I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw my tic-tac-toe on here. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. I'm going to do it here, and you want to press hard enough that it'll make an indentation. This might be ripping the paper just a little, but that's okay. So I'm going to get it on there. I'm going to draw my tic-tac-toe. Okay, you can also do this with a pen if you want it to not go all the way through. Okay, so this is going to be my base, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 walls. Now I'm going to measure and make those walls 3/4 of an inch. So if I look at the ruler, right, this is 1, this is 1/2 of an inch, and this longer line right here, this line is 3/4 of an inch. So that's how big I want those walls to be, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to come down here and mark 3/4 of an inch. And I definitely want to use my ruler for everything I'm doing. I want all my lines to be drawn and cut straight so that everything will be nice and clean and even. Okay, so I'm going to mark each one of these. And I'm even going to use my ruler when I cut them because I want to cut straight lines. I want everything to be nice and tidy. So I'm marking each one of these at 3/4. And then I'm going to cut them. Okay, 3/4. Okay, now I'm going to take my needle tool, which we only use for cutting, not for drawing, right? Cutting and scoring. And I'm going to cut out the lines I just made. I want to make sure I'm doing that so that my needle tool is at a 90-degree angle to the table. So I don't want to bend it or anything. I'm going to get it so it's straight up and down, and I'm going to use my ruler so my lines are straight. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to cut this line that I need to have too for that side wall of my box. And then any of that extra slab that's still left, I'm going to save because I can use it for other parts. So right here, I'm going to line this up and cut it. There. Oh, I didn't measure that side. Let's mark it. It's right there. Oh, I did. It just got blended in. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to do this all the way around, making sure to clean off my tool. Okay, so we're going to cut these. So I'll have my whole box cut out. And you can see we don't want our box to be more than about 1 inch. And so all these lines got blended in, but I see one right there. And I think that's one right there, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to measure it, because I don't want a crooked side. Okay. All right, so there's my box and my sides of my box. Okay, so before I start slipping and scoring these together, I would move this to a dry spot so that it's not sticking. Okay, so I'm going to set this on another board. I'm going to set the nice side down, and then all of these guys are going to get slipped and scored on. Any pieces that are longer are going to get trimmed. And so we're going to build our box just like that. Get them all together. These side ones are going to need trimming. Okay, and just like we do with a standard slip and score, we're going to make sure those edges have really strong connections. One of the most important things with slipping and scoring is you score both sides. You really push them together with a slip on only one side so it's not too wet and squishy. Wipe off the slip after it squishes out. Okay, so there's our box form. And you're going to slip and score all those together. Also, do not forget that as you're blending them, that you need a little coil of clay that you're going to be pushing into all of your connections, not just on these parts, but also up these inside edges too. Right? So we have to make sure that we're also reinforcing this edge as we slip and score all that together, which everybody already knows how to do because we've already demonstrated that. Okay? So when that's done, you're going to end up with a box that looks like this. Okay, now this box looks good. It's just an inch thick right here. Needs some cleanup on the sides, right? But that's our basic box shape. Now, one of the things you want to be concerned about is that if I push down on this, the middle of it's going to dip in. Do you see how easy that is to dip? So before I do anything else, I need to get in here and reinforce this with more coils. Okay, so we're going to slip and score that in. So I'm going to mark out right here. I'm going to put one because I want it to be strong. So I'm going to slip and score all of that. Now, your scoring needs to be deep, but you do not want to cut through the front side. So we're going to get in here with these. We're going to score, 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 score. And I want your scoring to be deep and aggressive because that gives you a stronger connection. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this. Score, 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 score. Okay, pretty deep. You can see that that's pretty deep in there. We're not doing this gently. We're doing it aggressively because we want these to stay together forever. Okay. Oops, just bumped the phone. Sorry. Okay, so did it again. So we scored both sides and we're going to slip one. Your slip needs to be patted on. Do not rub your slip in because you are rubbing the texture away. This is the same exact technique that we use for our boxes. Okay. So I'm going to get it on there. We're going to push down. Okay, so I'm going to push down. I have to actually give it a lot of downward pressure. Okay, we want to not have to go in and fix a bunch of stuff though. So don't make your slab all fingerprinty and wrecked. But I'm going to push, push, push. Okay, now we have slip that's gooshing out. What we're going to do with that slip that's gooshing out is we are going to wipe it off and get it off of our project because we don't want the slip making our project all sticky and we don't want it making it all weak. Now, just as I talked about before, I'm going to take that extra clay strip that's like my little coil and I'm going to push, 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 push. Push it into all of my seams because I want my seams to be joined forever. I don't want them coming apart again. Okay, and anywhere I'm pushing, I'm supporting the slab on any other sides that I'm pushing towards. Okay, so we're going to do that all the way around. So I'm going to start right here with this one. And it is okay to have too much clay in that connection where you have to thin it out, but it's not okay to not have enough. So as I'm pushing this, I'm supporting the other side with my finger everywhere that I'm pushing. Okay, push, push, push. I even sometimes wrap up over the top and then go back and flatten that. Okay, I want my slab to stay together. So I'm going to blend it on both sides until there is no seam showing so that they stay connected forever. If your slab is big, you may need to put more reinforcing on it than this, especially if you know for your design, I'm going to be building up a lot of three-dimensional elements. You probably need more than just this one center wall. Okay, I think it's smart to do too many. It's okay to have extras, but it's not okay to not have enough. And so I would add on mine more walls right here. Okay, and another wall right here that I'm gonna slip and score into place before I flip it over. But you guys don't need to see that part, okay? So those will get all slipped and scored in before I'd flip it, okay? Now, I have all of my construction work done. The next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna turn it over. You're gonna get everything on the front side nice and tidy, and then you're gonna be ready to transfer your design onto this. And this part is the easiest part because all you need to do is set your design on top. You're gonna line it up with your edges. See, I tore my paper a little bit because I was pushing hard. So I'm gonna get it all nicely lined up, okay? Now I have this on here. All I need to do is go over this with a pencil or a ballpoint pen. So I'm gonna make sure I have it lined up all the way with the edges of my slab. And then I'm just gonna put my hands on here and I'm going to start tracing my shapes on there. Okay, so I have a lily pad, I have some water designs, I have a frog. Try not to punch holes in your paper, but if you do, it's okay. And literally, just like I'm tracing it, all I'm gonna do is outline it so it makes the marks of my pattern on there. Okay, and I'm gonna do that with all the lines that I have on here before I do anything else, so that I have my whole pattern on here. Okay, super easy. Now, this is why you have to draw this to scale. You're using it to actually mark out and cut how like tall your box is gonna be and all the elements that you're putting on there, okay? So that's what we're gonna be doing. Once we have that on, we can take this off and we can start doing all of our additive and subtractive elements on here, okay? So that's how we're gonna be starting our slab box. And make sure you keep your edges really neat and clean and precise so that everything looks good and is strong and stable, okay? And I can even see some of my supports right here that I probably want an extra one on each side. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those. But that is the foundation to start your slab box. And we want this whole slab box not to be taller than about 1 inch so that it doesn't look like a brick with a sculpture on the top, okay? So we'll get this all blended in, tidy and perfect before we would be finished. Okay, so I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna add more in there to make it stronger. And that's how we're gonna start the project. Okay.